Welcome back to the Viking Update Show starring John Krawczynski from The Athletic. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune. Brandon Morton's our producer. We want to talk about all kinds of stuff today. But one of the things was, God damn it. I'm having mixed up thoughts here. Sorry. Let me I just thought of something else we can talk about. Okay. 3, 2. Welcome back to the Viking Update Show. You're with John Krawczynski from The Athletic. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune. Brandon Morton is our producer, as he has been for so long. Best way to listen to this show or any show at talknorth.com. Please subscribe to your favorite podcast app. It's free. It's the easiest way to listen. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios. We want to thank Aquarius, Twill in the Dining Galleria, and TSR Injury Law. Let's talk about this, John. It's going to be hard not to talk about the quarterbacks every week, maybe for the next 18 years, but especially this summer. It'll be so fascinating. When you look at the Vikings 2024 schedule, if McCarthy isn't proclaimed the starter for week 1, and I think we suspect that that's probably going to be the case, he's not going to be, what would be the ideal time to break him into the starting lineup if Darnold doesn't just hold on to the job?
Yeah, because I think we've talked a little bit, Jim, about how the ideal scenario, right, is that Darnold just plays well enough to play all season long, and then you can pass the baton over the offseason and, let J.J. McCarthy watch, let him soak it all in, and hopefully by 2025, he's ready to take this thing over, and he has his feet underneath him. He can do that. If he does, if it becomes clear either by McCarthy just playing really, really well, and being ready sooner than maybe some people would expect, or if Darnold struggles and they have to make a move sooner to kind of say, look, we've got to, we just got to stay competitive and we can't lose our locker room and all these things. We got to make a move. Then I do think that the one thing that I would like to see is something that's very hard to do. And that's a natural transition when your guy is just better. And that, so you don't, I don't think it's ideal for the Vikings to say, come out and go 0-3 in their first 3 games. And Darnold's really struggling. And then he's like, okay, let's throw the kid in and see what he can do. I think that if you can get to a bye week and it's going just okay, you're kind of treading water, but maybe you're a little bit underperforming and a little disappointing, then you get to the bye week and give McCarthy a full, essentially 2 weeks to get prepared, get acclimated, to start carrying himself like the number one guy, to really assert himself in team meetings and all of those things, and then come out of the bye with this team, kind of under his control. That's probably the ideal scenario for me, is just like, let it naturally happen. And then at a break in the schedule, just give it over to him and let him go. What do you think about that?
We have 2 football shows on this network. This is one of them. The other is Jeff Diamond's Vikings NFL Insider with Jeff Diamond, the former Vikings general manager. I have to give him credit. He came up with a very intriguing scenario that I will share here as well, because I think I agree with it. Bye week makes some sense. And again, as you said, if Darnold isn't playing well and if McCarthy is handling things well in practice and look pretty good in preseason, sure, the bye week does make sense. Another time you'd see McCarthy, if things break the right way, would be kind of a mini bye. So they have the bye week 6. That's after they play the Jets, and it's before they play a home game, October 20th, against Detroit at home. Detroit, a very good team. So they play October 20th at home against Detroit. October 24th, short week, they play at Jacksonville. At the Rams. That might be a tough. So even though they're coming out of a bye, that might be a tough week for a rookie quarterback. Home against a very good team in the Lions, then short week traveling to play the Los Angeles Rams. We don't know how good the Rams are going to be, but they still have Aaron Donald. That's probably not a whole lot of fun for a rookie. Here's where it gets interesting. If you haven't started McCarthy by then and you want to start him, then you basically have a 10-day week between the Rams game and a home game against Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And that might be a really soft landing spot for starting McCarthy. And again, I have to give Jeff Diamond credit. He came up with that thought.
It's a great idea. You'd think that Jeff has had experience with this in the front office before to come up with that. But yeah, I like that. Absolutely. And you would think, Jim, kind of following that schedule, that by the time you get to the bye week, it's probably starting to percolate, right? Like you're starting to think, okay, maybe we're getting closer to the point of handing this thing over. And so you start conversations and preparations internally, maybe even with just a very tight group with the coaches, with McCarthy, with a few other stakeholders during the bye week, and that, kind of gets things rolling in that direction, but you don't have to do it immediately right then. And then it's like it is a soft launch. So this can become a multi-week process to get him ready to take over. And maybe that even includes a few more reps with the number one group in practice, leading into the Lions game, leading into the Rams game. And then boom, and the Colt, when you start coming out for that Colts, that 10-day process, you're saying, okay, now it's your team. Now you're taking all the reps. Now you're ready to go. And that could be a nice gradual sort of process to get him there, get him ready, and put him in an environment at home against the team. We'll see if the Colts are any good or not, but I think that we expect the Colts to be okay, but not great. And maybe that will kind of help him hit the ground running as much as possible. I really like that idea. That's a sound logic and process behind it.
One of my working theories about this team is we will know what their true expectations and ambitions for this year are by how they handle free agency. Now that free agency feels like it's depressed, like nothing else is going to happen. There are still high quality and some big name cornerbacks on the market. The Vikings would seem to need at least one good cornerback to field a good defense this year. I feel like if they go out and get somebody like Xavier Howard or Stephon Gilmore, that they feel like they have a chance to win this year despite the uncertainty of quarterback. And to me, if they don't go out and get one of those guys, then this does feel like a prep year more than a let's win now year.
Yeah, and the one thing that I wonder about, Jim, in terms of that logic is we're almost getting to the point now where it's sort of like, what do you have to lose?
Right.
By going out and adding one? Because, you're right. If they don't do it, it really does paint like, hey, this is a one more year that we're taking to reset the decks, and they have all this cap space next offseason. And maybe that's the one where you go kind of hell's bells and like, hey, we're really trying to rocket back into NFC North contention. But at this point, with some of the guys that are out there, you mentioned a couple, Adoree Jackson's another one, JC Jackson is another one. There are quality guys out there, and camps open in like a month. And so I don't think you'd have to pay a lot or really sacrifice any long-term salary cap flexibility to add one of these guys. I just really don't think so. And so, the longer that this lasts, with these guys out there, I mean, the more of a chance that they're going to have to take 1 year prove it deals and then go back into the market maybe and reestablish. And to me, if you can do that with one of these veterans, and maybe maybe JC Jackson isn't, in his prime, but he's a veteran dude who's been through there, who's accomplished some things with the Patriots and the Chargers. And so he at least gives you some sort of experience back there at a position that you do not have any, and you're not going to have to pay him millions and millions of dollars over a long-term deal to get him. I just don't think that's the case. And so I just like keep waiting for the Vikings to strike here. And hey, maybe it's Hunter Renfrow or, or somebody like that, to help their receiving core. Maybe, our guy, Alec Lewis at the Athletic mentioned Cam Akers as another guy in the running back room, something like that. These guys are not going to be expensive at this point in the offseason. And so I would like to see him go for it because worst case scenario is that they're not as good as they once were. And you're out a little bit of money in the short term, but I can't imagine that you're going to have to do anything to commit long term to them. And so if they don't work out, you're strapped going forward, with all of that cap space next summer to really make big moves and big splashes.
Let's talk about the receiving crew. We'll continue to talk about the cornerbacks. Right now, though, I want to let you know we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studios. We want to thank Aquarius Home Services.
Scott for Aquarius Home Services. We all know our weather can be unpredictable, especially with our summer storms and hot and muggy temps. Be worry-free with a generator providing reliable whole home backup power to keep the lights on and your home cool and comfy. Plus, be sure your sump pump is ready to handle those heavy summer rains. For all your plumbing and electrical needs, we're just a click away at AquariusHomeservices.com. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
Also want to mention that Scott Dayton's shop, Twill by Scott Dayton in the Dining Galleria. I stopped in there. My wife and I just went on a mini vacation. I felt like I needed a couple of new pieces of clothing. I had all my old brand name jeans had worn out. I walked in and said, hey, I'd like some jeans, comfortable, kind of classy looking. I think this is my size. And the gentleman working the desk that day said, not that, don't do that brand that you're standing by. Try this. This is going to fit you better. And here's the size you actually wear. He told me what size I was. I had guessed wrong on what I would wear. I walked in, the first pair I tried on fit perfectly. I was out of there in 10 minutes with a nice golf shirt, nice pair of jeans, a nice pullover. If I hadn't been in more of a hurry, I probably would have bought 3 more things. So I'll go back and get those things sometime soon. It's just such an easy, effortless, relaxed shopping experience with great products. I bought more Johnny O stuff this week. I love the Peter Millar stuff, but the Brax pants, just check it out. TwillMN.com. Sign up for their email notifications. They will not spam you. They'll just let you know when they have a special deal. And just great stuff, great experience. Also want to thank TSR Injury Law, 612-TSR-TIME. It's all you really need to know. We don't want you to need an injury lawyer. If you need one, you're going to want a good one, an ethical one. 612-TSR-TIME. Call them. They will take good care of you.
Yeah, True Vision Institute in Bloomington. I was there earlier this week to get a consultation for LASIK surgery. Found out I'm a great candidate for it. And super easy to set up an appointment. Go in there. They run you through a bunch of tests. Their people are very nice. And they will give you a straight up and honest answer for your options for your vision correction. And I'm looking forward to having LASIK at True Vision once the playoffs are over. So go to truevision.com to set up your appointment, and you won't be disappointed at all. Great people at True Vision.
Goodell has floated the idea of an 18-game regular season. I think we all knew this was coming, that eventually it is going to happen. Do you think it's going to happen soon?
I do. He doesn't just float this stuff out there, and just say, hey, maybe we should consider this. Like, what do you guys think? He's putting this out there to get people ready for it because the owners have made up their minds. And I think it's a terrible idea. I thought 17 games was a bad idea. I think that 18 is darn near untenable, but it does not matter. Like, they have proven time and time again that they do not care about the health and safety of the players. They do not care about career longevity. They do not care about the quality of the product at all at this stage. They just want to put as many of these games on as possible to make as much money as they can. And the American public is addicted to the game enough that even if the quality suffers in some of these games, even if they're played on Tuesdays after playing on Saturdays or whatever it takes to wedge all these games in, Everyone's going to watch, and there's going to be a whole lot of money, and players are going to get hurt and chewed up and spit out, and that's okay. And so this is going to happen, and it's going to happen, I'm sure, pretty soon, so they can squeeze every last dollar possible out of this. And they're not worried about the golden goose dying. They're just going to keep on wringing that neck until it's not spitting out any more eggs.
My philosophical question is, one of the things the NFL has always gotten right is that, listen, we are a country with a very short attention span. Baseball seems to drive, even people who love baseball kind of hate baseball half the time, because your team's always, good teams lose 70 games a year. And it seems, I don't think Minnesotans can handle that. The NFL has always gotten it right that less is more. Let anticipation create intrigue and interest. Don't play so many games that the games become somewhat meaningless. And I just want, I'm not going to say that going from 17 to 18 creates that problem for them, but we are going from 16 to 18 in a fairly short period of time. Do you think watering down the schedule will hurt the sport at all?
I just don't think so, Jim. I think we're bulletproof. Yeah, I think the league is bulletproof. It is designed perfectly for the attention span of the modern sports fan. The NFL has done a remarkable job of marketing it, of really setting up its economic structure so that every team can feel like it has a chance, if run properly, to win the championship. Fans cannot get enough of it, quite literally. And so, yes, I do think that, I think the quality of the game will suffer. The Thursday night games are terrible, just in general. Like they stink. But everyone watches them, and it just does not matter. And so if they put games on Fridays, they play on Christmas, if they do, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. As long as football is on the TV, it is going to be watched and slobbered over to a remarkable degree, because it is an incredibly entertaining game that is engineered for today's sports fan. And so they've done a ton of things to make it as appealing as it is. And I don't know what it would take to get people to turn off the TV and turn away from it at this point. I really don't. Maybe if you go to 24 games or some ridiculous thing like that, maybe you can get to a point where it's like, all right, enough. Like but I really think that there's such an appetite for it that certainly going to 18 is not going to quell that at all. And it is a tribute and a testament to the league in general, the way that they have positioned themselves to be so essential to modern sports life. And I think they know that. And so they're going to do whatever they want to do within the realm of any reasonable or even sometimes unreasonable expectations.
One more quick topic for today, a topic that we will delve into more in July. And as camp begins, it does feel like they could use another receiver, unless they really think that Jalen Nailor can move up to being the number 3 receiver. I think Brandon Powell's an ideal 4th receiver, catch the ball underneath, run with it, be a good punt returner. I don't think he's a 3rd receiver on a good team. Do you think they have enough confidence in Jalen Nailor? That's why they haven't added more receiving talent.
Yeah, it's possible, Jim. I think so. I think that O'Connell really likes Brandon Powell, but you're right in terms of his role with the special teams, that it's hard to make him the 3rd receiver and have him be, the main return man as well. So it seems like 2 options. One is you go Nailor and think that he's ready to emerge and to take on that role, or B, you go Powell and then go try and find another return man. But I do think that it feels like Nailor's positioned himself to have the best chance to win that job. I wonder if he can stay healthy, because I'm intrigued by his talent. Like I do, when you watch him in practice, when you see him in preseason, a couple of moments that he has had, he looks pretty impressive. And so if you have Addison and Jefferson, and you have Aaron Jones, and you have have a lot of weapons around him. Can he be effective? I think so if he can stay healthy. But I still wouldn't be averse at all to them going to get Hunter Renfrow or some other veteran guy to at least bring in to get a look at and see, hey, maybe this guy still has it, but let's get a little bit more competition going at that position. Because if it doesn't work out for Naylor, or if he does get injured, I think that puts them in a real bind. Like I just don't know how they kind of pivot off of that. And so that's going to be my question. Bring in another body just to give yourself a little insurance, just in case something doesn't work out with Naylor.
Yeah. Good stuff. We'll get more into the roster stuff as training camp nears. Hey, we're not that far away from football season, real football season, which it's going to be fascinating no matter what happens. Hey, for John Krawczynski and Brandon Morton, I'm Jim Souhan. We appreciate you listening. Check out Jeff Diamond's Vikings and NFL Insider, and we'll talk to you soon.